There's a heat wave. That's what I'm hearing anyway. There's a heat wave. It's hot here, but it's all over the U.S. Like a lot of heat. So I was thinking I would start off by doing a heat wave, I Ching. How about that? An I Ching for the sun, and we'll see how to keep cool. It'll just give us water, water, water. But yeah, why not do a heat wave oriented, a comfort oriented or survival oriented I Ching reading? How to survive in mid-July 2023. or at least how to be somewhat comfortable while you're baking in the sun. So I have everything's ready to go, and I've got two things here. I've got that, and I got those. And with these, I will begin the rolling. And we got a 9, and that gives us a moving yang. And let's do the next line. And we get a 6, which gives us a moving yin. Let's roll again. And we get another 6. Wow. Let's roll again. And we get 6, 7, 8, which is just a regular yin. We roll again. And we get 6, 7, 8 again. And one more. And we get 4, 5, 6, 7, which looks like that. All right, so what do we have? We've got 3 moving lines here, which is really complex. Hey, who's Watch the Watch? How you doing? Queue's not open yet, and the command will be join, exclamation mark join, if you want a reading. I'm going to go through our little heat survival, comfort-oriented I Ching reading first, and then I'll open up a queue and we can do readings with the tarot. Okay, so we've got, what do we have on top? It looks to me like yang on, okay, we've got mountain on top. And on the bottom, we have 2 opens. Okay, on the bottom, we've got the thunder. So we've got mountain on thunder, and that gives us mountain on thunder gives us 27. So 27. Let's have a look. Now, of course, this leads us into another one because of these moving lines. But let's first look at 27 and see what is being said about this mid-July heat stroke time. All right, well, this is going to be interesting. "27 is called E, the corners of the mouth, providing nourishment. Above, we have keeping still, mountain. Below, we have the arousing, thunder. The hexagram is a picture of an open mouth. Above and below are the firm lines of the lips, and between them, the opening. Starting with the mouth, through which we take food for nourishment, the thought leads to nourishment itself. Nourishment of oneself, specifically of the body, is represented in the 3 lower lines, while the 3 upper lines represent nourishment and care of others in a higher spiritual sense. The judgment is, the corners of the mouth, perseverance brings good fortune. Pay heed to the providing of nourishment and to what a man seeks to fill his own mouth with. In bestowing care and nourishment, it is important that the right people should be taken care of, and that we should attend to our own nourishment in the right way. If we wish to know what anyone is like, we have only to observe on whom he bestows his care, and what sides of his own nature he cultivates and nourishes. Nature nourishes all creatures. The great man fosters and takes care of superior men, in order to take care of all men through them. If we wish to know whether anyone is superior or not, we need only observe what part of his being he regards as especially important. The body has superior and inferior, important and unimportant parts. Really? The body has unimportant parts? Okay. I'm not criticizing the I Ching. I'm just wondering what those unimportant parts are. Is it something to do with the spleen? I know there's something that we don't. But I would hesitate to say there's an unimportant part. Perhaps long fingernails are unimportant. Okay, so we must not injure important parts for the sake of the unimportant. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the I Ching. I'm sorry, but guys. Look, it's an old book, okay? Maybe they didn't know what the hell they were doing back then. Okay, so we must not injure important parts for the sake of the unimportant, nor must we injure the superior parts for the sake of the inferior. He who cultivates the inferior parts of his nature is an inferior man. He who cultivates the superior parts of his nature is a superior man. Okay, well, I mean, sure, I'd rather break my wrist than my head. I'd rather sprain an ankle than my neck. Okay. Of course. Actually, there is sort of a crude sense to what it's saying. The image at the foot of the mountain, thunder, the image of providing nourishment. Thus the superior man is careful of his words and temperate in eating and drinking. God comes forth in the sign of the arousing, that's the thunder. When in the spring the life forces stir again, all things come into being anew. He brings to perfection in the sign of keeping still. Thus in the early spring, when the seeds fall to earth, all things are made ready. This is an image of providing nourishment through movement and tranquility. The superior man takes it as a pattern for the nourishment and cultivation of his character. Words are a movement going from within outward. Eating and drinking are movements from without inward. Both kinds of movement can be modified by tranquility. For tranquility keeps the words that come out of the mouth from exceeding proper measure, and keeps the food that goes into the mouth from exceeding its proper measure. Thus, character is cultivated. All right. A 9 at the beginning, which is what we have, means you let your magic tortoise go and look at me with the corners of your mouth drooping, misfortune. So there's some misfortune here. So it means that there's some envy and discontent. That the man, who's seeking nourishment kind of gets it wrong and starts looking at people with a little envy here. So we have to be careful. Now, 6 in the second place, which is what we have here, it means turning to the summit for nourishment. So looking up to the mountain for some nourishment, up toward the more stable, tranquil area. So we're looking up from all the moving thunder, all the turmoil, looking up to the mountain where there's stability. And we seek nourishment, deviating from the path to seek nourishment from the hill. Ah, okay. Oh, so continuing to do this brings misfortune. So it says the 6 and the 7th place. So we're getting a little envious here. And then we're looking up and we're trying to see the summit. We're trying to see the top of the mountain. And we're forgetting the middle part with the path going up to the summit. So we're looking at the goal first. And that means that we deviate from the path up the mountain we're on, leading us up out of the thunder to seek nourishment. And we're going to have misfortune if we keep looking at the end rather than the present getting there. Okay, so let's, darn thing, hold on. This thing, I got to shut this thing off. Okay, so the 6 in the third place means, and that's this one, turning away from nourishment. Perseverance brings misfortune. Do not act thus for 10 years. Nothing serves to further. He who seeks nourishment that does not nourish reels from desire to gratification, and in gratification craves desire. Mad pursuit of pleasure for the satisfaction of the senses never brings one to the goal. One should never, 10 years is a complete cycle of time, follow this path, for nothing good can. Notice how they do 10 years is a complete cycle here in the I Ching. Well, the 10 cards in the tarot is a cycle. It's very, very similar. But now what they're saying here, this line is you're getting nervous and greedy and sort of envious of what other people have down here. You're seeking nourishment, but you want what other people have for their nourishment. You think they're getting better things than you are. They're learning more than you are. They're more successful than you are. And so you're starting to sort of, you're in danger of distorting the gaining of nourishment. You're distorting your self-development. And so then that leads you up here to the looking up to the goal. Like if I get all the way to the top with all that self-realization, then I can get everything I want and I have more than everybody else down below. And so that's a bad thing. And then as you also then over here in this next moving line, you are actually pushing so hard going up the mountain and thinking about getting to the end point that you actually you turn away from nourishment and you act too quickly, too hastily. And so you actually do harm to yourself. And so it's suggesting that you allow the time you need. And they're talking about 10 years to develop. So in this case, for our heat summer July reading, it indicates probably, hey, nourish yourself, take care of yourself, turn on the AC if you have it, but stay cool, lie low, don't do too much frantic activity, and don't try to jump ahead to things and, go running 10 miles in a marathon in 99-degree heat. It's pretty decent advice, I would say. But what it also does is it opens us up to a different one down here, which would be this turns into two solids and this turns into an open, and that gives us two solids, and that gives this wind, two solids and an open. So it would be mountain, and then it leads us to 18. So the 18th, and that is, I'll write that down. The 18th that it moves toward is called work on what has been spoiled, decay. And so the 18th that it moves toward is called work on what has been spoiled, decay. And so the 18th that it moves toward is called work on what has been spoiled, decay. And so the 18th that it moves toward is called work on what has been spoiled, decay. And so the 18th that it moves toward is called work on what has been spoiled, decay. Keeping Still Mountain above, that's still there. But underneath now, this turns into the gentle wind. So this is what's coming because of all this motion here. And it says, it represents a bowl in whose contents worms are breeding. This means decay. It has come about because the gentle indifference of the lower trigram has come together with the rigid inertia of the upper, the mountain. And the result is stagnation. Since this implies guilt, the conditions embody a demand for removal of the cause. Hence, the meaning of the hexagram is not simply what has been spoiled, but work on what has been spoiled. Work on what has been spoiled has supreme success. It furthers one to cross the great water. Before the starting point, 3 days. After the starting point, 3 days. What has been spoiled through man's fault can be made good again through man's work. It is not immutable fate, as in the time of standstill that has caused the state of corruption, but rather the abuse of human freedom. Work toward improving conditions promises well, because it accords with the possibilities of the time. We must not recoil from work and danger, symbolized by crossing of the great water, but must take hold energetically. Success depends, however, on proper deliberation. This is expressed by the lines before the starting point 3 days, after the starting point 3 days. We must first know the causes of corruption before we can do away with them. Hence, it is necessary to be cautious during the time before the start. In other words, plan so you know what the hell you're doing. Then we must see to it that the new way is safely entered upon so that a relapse may be avoided. Therefore, we must pay attention to the time after the start. So in other words, to do any kind of development to change bad situation of decay and problems like we saw with the person getting arrogant and wanting more and wanting to have more than his neighbors or her neighbors and wanting to climb the mountain too fast and leading to trouble. Well, now the hexagram that this leads into says, okay, these conditions, this condition of sort of personality rot can be improved if you consider and work on the problem and really apply yourself to it with proper planning and insight. And the tarot would tell us pretty much a very similar thing. I'm going to sort of leave it at that and how we apply that to summer. And, a lot of people are sweltering in this country and elsewhere also. And, that kind of sweltering heat can get you very aggravated and aggressive, and you can start to covet what other people have or are able to do and where they live, and so you can get antsy and behave badly. And so that's what this is showing. If you start losing your proper sense of what is healthy for you to take in and what is healthy to express, and you start trying to move too quickly somewhere, or you get aggressive, then you can make things. Misfortune happens for you and everyone around you, but this can be corrected by looking at your behavior and changing it gradually with effort and planning so that you don't do things that will make things worse down the road. That's what the I Ching reading is saying. And so as tempers flare in high heat, or as people get, they get all upset about things more easily the hotter they get, this could be applicable. Now, so this kind of leads me to think about, cards like, well, the sun popped to my head because of the heat, of course. But cards like Temperance, I think Temperance plays a big role in this particular I Ching, if I want to draw a comparison. That's probably pretty appropriate. Temperance. What else might work? Could the star apply? You know, that guidance of seeing a goal and trying to get to it without becoming obsessed. Nourishment. You've got the Empress there. Could be a factor. The Empress would guide you toward healthy nourishment, healthy, expression, healthy desires. The Empress isn't going to take you, unless reversed, toward a corrupt habit or appetite. The Empress is going to encourage or foster healthy or healthful behaviors, behaviors that are oriented toward growth. So, all right. So I'm pondering where to go from here. When I sit down to do these things, I don't have a plan. I never do. I may ponder things in advance, but I ponder them. Actually, I don't ponder them in a way that sets me up for a plan. The most I'll plan one of these is I'll say, I think I'll start with an I Ching tonight. Or I might say, you know what, maybe I'll talk about a current subject that's going on this week just to launch off. But that's the only extent to which I'll plan a stream or a podcast. It's very off the cuff when I do these, because honestly, the tarot it has to be in the moment. It has to be. You cannot plan tarot. You can't. There's no way you can do it. And so it always, I get very bored when I turn on, because I experiment around. I go through podcasts, tarot podcasts or spirituality podcasts or whatever, any podcast. Not any, but if I'm in tarot, I hear something that sounds like they spent a long time writing things down in a notebook and stuff, I lose interest very, very quickly, because that is already right at the first 5 seconds. That is already the wrong approach to tarot, if there can be a wrong approach to tarot. But a planned approach to I think it's safe to say that a planned approach to tarot can't possibly be a good approach. It just can't, because you're not planning anything in a reading. When you do a reading for someone, if you've planned your reading, then you've given them a preset reading, which isn't a tarot reading, is it? It's some kind of a little performance you're doing. So, these things are very impromptu or improvisational. Now I am going to actually open the queue. I love it when I open a queue. I press a button in one app, and then over here in the other one, it says, a queue has been opened. And I'm going to pull a card out of the deck. And we have the King of Swords. Now, what do we know about swords? Well, they are the domain typically of the mind, and the mind is typically what gets us into conflicts. It's what gets us into agreements and disagreements. It's what gets us into battles. It's what leads us to belief. The king. What do we know about kings? Well, they tend to be, well, I mean, overall, they're not good. They're not good. At least they can't be thought of as good things now. A king is someone who wants to rule through authority rather than democratic means, obviously. So clearly, there's no such thing as a good king. But that being said, there are better kings and worse kings. There are kings who have attempted to lead people wisely and wanted to do good for their people. Of course, there have been those kings, yes. And most of them existed before there was ever even the concept of ruling democratically so that people had freedoms, Sona Ronan, hello, sir, how are you? Hello, Sona Ronan, how are you? And so the king has, in the tarot, you take the king to mean a sense of confident, authoritative living, decision-making with strength, good character, when it's upright, at any rate. Good character, solid, rational, and the kings tend to be the domain of the material, the domain of, so having swords, you're in the abstract area of mental, but how it engineers reality, how it forms things, how things are built, how things are organized, that's all in the domain of the sword. And so pulling this as a sort of a launching point, Sid Rocks, hey, thank you so much. Thank you. The following, I was thinking about following today. It's important because following's good for tarot because it lets people know when the tarot thing is going live. I guess if you have the settings right, at any rate, and I mess settings up all the time. But if you follow a streamer and you have the right settings somewhere in there, it'll tell you, like, it'll pop up on your phone. Oh, some actions live with some actions raving on about lunatic nonsense about tarot again. It's just thought you should know. Ignore it. If you like, but he's doing it. And so that's what happens. And but it's good. It's good. I like getting those little announcements. Like sometimes I'll have a favorite streamer. Like I do role playing stuff in other things with a Western game stuff. It's fun. It's just there's nothing. Well, there is. I built a tarot app to go in there, but the game isn't oriented toward tarot in any way. It's just having fun role playing as in the Old West, all that nonsense. But and I follow certain streamers who do that also, and when they go live, sometimes I get a little notification, and I'm like, oh yay, they're back, and I'll go watch for a couple hours while I'm like, I don't know. I even leave it on low volume sometimes when I'm working. Like a streamer, if it's not like really loud and disruptive, I can leave it on when I'm working. So it's always fun. King of Cards so Saronin, you're saying, can King of Cards symbolize tyranny and oh yeah. So basically what happens is if some people don't do reversals, okay, so they may pull this card out in a reading, and if it comes in upside down, they may say, oh, it doesn't matter. Well, and they just talk about the king and the king's quality of authority and decision-making and, taking, weighing all the facts and making decisions based on reality, and with the swords, making wise decisions and solving conflicts and that kind of thing. But another tarot reader, if it comes in upside down, they'll say, okay, well, actually, since it's upside down, it could indicate a king who makes wild decisions, who uses their authority with far too much arrogance and brute force, and solves every problem by literally using a sword, and gets mean and abuses and just wants to win for no real good reason and doesn't do anything that's rational. And we see that in some quarters today in the world still. We see countries that are ruled by one look, if you look at a country and it says it has a president, if that president has served for 20 years, that's not a president. That's a dictator. Absolutely, in every case. The president's there for 20 years, they are a dictator. They are running a military dictatorship. And you have to get rid of them. You absolutely have to, because they're a dictator. If a king, and that would be represented by the upside down king. If you're going to, so you would say this upside down king represents something that we're all familiar with, the president of some nation somewhere. We won't say who, although we all know. They're gigantic. They have forests. They have gulags. They invade other countries for no reason. And they have presidents that have served for 20 years. So we know who they are. And this upside down, you would say, that's what that is. It's that authoritarian sensibility, and using the sword, or using rationality, using reason for ill intent, for bad purpose, to subjugate people. So yes, you would find that in that card. Now the tarot, the rules are really the rules that the reader establishes. Because I could say to you, oh well, my kings mean something different, or an artist could draw a deck where the kings are represented totally differently, or called something else. The king could be called, airline pilot. I mean, there are all kinds of crazy tarot decks out there, or oracle decks, and it could mean something very different. It could mean, you just have a lot of ability at navigating and controlling things, and, flying airplanes or something. But the rules come into whatever system the tarot reader establishes to make sense of the tarot while they're using that particular deck. So they have some kind of a consistent structure that you can rely on. Like, you'll notice, if you've come into this stream, you'll notice that when I use this particular deck, I have a relatively consistent set of meanings that I apply to the different cards. And you can see how those meanings shift when a card is right side up or upside down. They tend to be like the opposite. So if we're talking about rational decision making when it's right side up, when I turn it around, we would be talking about irrational, dangerous decision making. But every reader has a slightly different approach to that system. But the only real important thing is that there be some observable consistency in what the reader uses for their system. And then they could switch decks. I could put this deck aside and then go over here and get my other deck and put it down, like my Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and say, okay, now the system's a little different because these cards are different now. Here's the system for this set of cards. Yeah, perspective. Yes, everyone has a different one, a little bit of a different perspective. And they build a system accordingly. Now, another thing that really helps if you're interested in learning to read tarot, and you get yourself a tarot deck and you start learning how to read it, another good way to really get a system in your mind is to just take a pen and a notebook and just doodle your own little tarot cards. Just sketch, like draw a real quick little king doodle with like just 5 lines. This is my King of Swords card. This is my Queen of Swords card. This is my Ace of Swords card, and so on. And you just sort of jot down a couple of little words underneath each one, like, Queen of Swords card means fair decision making. Upside down means unfair decision making. Little things like you just do that and you just go through it in a notebook. And then by doing that, you set in your own head your first sort of rudimentary approach to your own system of reading the tarot. And that enhances your ability to remember and absorb all these different ideas about the different cards. Just a little doodling with your own little word. You don't even have to write it. Just write, if it's like the Empress, just write nurture. And then do, Hanged Man, and you could write waiting. And then you do something like the Star card, and then you write one word underneath, maybe guide. And I see what you did there. So your cat got onto your keyboard, right? Yeah. I know cats very well. I have been around cats my entire life. I grew up with cats. Yes. Cats are way more affectionate and connected to humans than people typically tell you. Like you'll read about the difference between cats and dogs and stuff, and people always kind of get cats wrong. They never really talk about how really connected cats are. I love drinking the sparkling water. I keep saying. Yeah. Well, pets are just amazing, I've had dogs and I have had cats, but the first pets I ever had when I was very, very young, as a small child, were cats. It took a while for me to get a dog. The only thing about pets is, the only problem is when they get old and when they go, it's very, very sad. But I always say the same thing. If you give a cat or a dog, if you give your pet a really good, happy, full life, then you can be very, very sad, which you should be. There's nothing wrong with being really sad when you lose a pet. It's devastating. But you know that they had that life. They had that good, the best possible life they could have ever possibly had with you. That's the thing. That's the good thing. So... It reminds me of how, the strength card is usually drawn. I'm trying to find the strength card. It's usually a woman holding the jaws jaws of an animal, and she seems to be, here it is. So the strength card, she seems to be holding the jaws open rather than trying to, she doesn't seem like she's trying to close them. But she does seem like she's manipulating an animal somehow. But I have to see it as really not the use of force against an animal, but the idea in this card of working with the animal. And in fact, I drew this card. I'm just about ready to print my deck. I'm like it's all drawn. It's all set. I'm just doing the final, like getting the files ready. But I decided to dispense with that idea of the person manipulating the animal. I thought actually no matter how I sliced it, there was an element in that card of there's something I don't like. What business does the woman have in manipulating the animal? I mean, the only time I would ever hold a dog's jaws that way is to prevent the dog from choking on some bone it had swallowed. And it could be what she's doing, but I don't think so. That's not really what's in the picture there. The picture is more like she's just cranking those jaws open for some reason. Almost as if just to show that she can. But that form of strength, willpower, if it's willpower, let's say, it could be better illustrated by having her ignoring a pile of sugar in a bowl on a table next to her. That would be willpower. But this sort of mastering the animal kingdom, I get maybe it has to do with mastering one's animal nature and controlling it. You have to look at these things as metaphors. But nonetheless, you have to also look at what's being shown to you flat out, straight up in your face, which strikes me as somewhat abusive to the animal. Unless she's trying to get a bone out of his mouth, there's nothing really sweet about what she's doing there. She's not rubbing the dog's ear. She's not, ruffling or, rubbing his neck. She's cranking his mouth wide open. So there's a problem in it. I have a problem with how decks have typically represented this. I'm not fond of it. So I drew a drastically different strength card, which has to do more with strength as expressed in a way where you might look at the scene and not assume that it had anything to do with strength. And you have to observe more closely to see that the picture actually is representing strength. So that was my approach. But it has nothing to do with a woman cranking a dog's mouth open. So... depicted as controlling and witty, manipulating man in history. Yeah. It's possible. She, taming. The strength card can be seen as taming one force or another, however you might want to look at it. Yes. I decided to focus on strength as a consistent, gradual, almost unnoticed effect, where we miss strength very often in things. We look at things and we don't realize what incredible work and power it took to accomplish. So that's my strength card I'm going to show it when it's all printed and ready, and I'm going to then start using it. But I got antsy today. I was like, okay, it's done. Why am I like being so slow to, I gotta see when you do these things, you have to put out a certain file format. So whatever you draw these things in, you then have to get everything, all 78 cards, plus the back. You have to have a backing for the cards, but that's just one image for all of them. But you have to then get the right file format ready. And for printing, you have to have the right dots per inch. You have to get the files all ready to go. All 78 plus one of them. And then you need the images that go on the container. And of course, because I am using my obsessive compulsive brain, I also was like, oh God, okay, I have to have a little booklet also. I've got to have a beginner's guide, because if somebody buys a tarot deck and they've never seen a tarot deck before, they don't know what to do with these stupid cards. They have no clue. You have to have a little booklet that tells them, I'm putting upright and reversed meanings for every single tarot card, and in my little guide, and then I'm putting one little sample spread. If they want to try a reading, I might give them two little sample spreads, explain how to do them, and So right now, the files are I got all the files ready. They're set. They're good. And the only thing I still have to do is I have to finish typing out the little booklet. So it's basically just data entry right now, because I have everything all written and I'm just typing it into the right format for the booklet. So it's really an interesting process. And then then you have to do a test print, of course. It comes back and you look and go, do they look good? I mean, or are they all faded, or does it look like crap and I have to go somewhere else? Or, you just gotta try to see what you get. So hopefully it'll be good. Printing can be weird though. All kinds of weird things can happen when you print. It's like you don't realize like what colors do, how they're different on a screen because the light's coming out of the screen, and how that's different than when the same colors get printed on paper where there's no light coming out. And it's very hard to tell how that's going to actually look from trying to figure it out on a screen. So things often look better on screens than they do when they're printed. That's what I've found. So you got to be really careful. Yeah, because the light's coming out of the screen, and so it makes everything look more vibrant. Makes everything look more like vivid and intense. And then you see it printed, and you're like, darn, that red's actually not bright enough. Shoot. And so you have to go back and push the bread. You have to make the red more saturated, maybe, and then try the printing again. So you do what you print the deck once. You take delivery of that one initial test print, and you have to look through every card. And if there's anything that displeases you, any color that looks duller than you thought it would, you have to then go back and say, okay, is the color too dark? Is it too light? What's the problem in the print? And then you have to adjust that in whatever you're using. And then you have to go back and you have to adjust all of the little problems and then go back and do another test print. So, because you can't possibly know looking at a screen. There's no way you can know exactly how it's going to turn out when you print it. It's impossible. It's physically impossible. Yeah. It's the same thing with book covers. That's why publishers, they print a dummy cover, and then the author looks at it. They sit down, they go over, they say, okay, well, does this look good enough? And then they make little changes and so on and so on. I remember I took a writing course, and it was taught by a sci-fi novelist who was a really nice guy. And he was in the final stages of publishing a new novel. And he would bring the materials in from the publisher. And he came into class one day. He said, okay, look, so what did he call it? A galley print? I can't remember. He brought in the cover for his new book, and it was just printed flat, but it was like real shiny and had like embossed edges on, like the letters were sort of raised, and it was like, I was like, wow, so this is the cover of your book. And he was like, I think this is going to be the cover. He says, I think I like it. I'm going to think about it over the weekend, but he was like, yeah, I think pretty much this is going to be it. And so that was their test print. And then later on, years later, I would go and find his books in bookstores and go, oh, I know this guy, and he showed me the cover for that book before it was published, like 2 months before it was published. T-shirts, that's another hard one. You have no idea, man, how an image is going to look when it's printed like on gray cloth. It's the whole world of printing and what color space you use so that the inks match as closely as possible to what you made. It's crazy. Yeah, white t-shirts, probably the easiest to make something look accurate on. Yeah. I still wear things like Star Wars t-shirts and stuff. I have 2 Star Wars t-shirts I wear. I bought them at Disneyland. I go into a Disneyland shop and will actually buy stuff. I will actually buy clothing. Oh, man. I buy clothing at my gym. They sell clothes. And I sometimes go in there and I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I need some t-shirts. Or I need a sweatshirt. I'll just buy it at the gym. Makes it easy because you don't have to go shopping. You don't have to run around into changing rooms and stuff. That's the worst. I can't stand going to changing rooms. Jesus. I bought a shirt the other day though, just by accident. I was in a store and this woman walked up to me and she was like, oh, I have a shirt here that I think you would like. And I was like, I'm not buying a shirt. And she was, I think you'd like this. You should come and look at it. And so I walked across the store with her and she pulls this shirt off the rack and she's like, this is perfect for you. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not buying anything. And she's like, well, no, but it's perfect. Just go in. Come here. Follow me. And so I follow her and I realize she's leading me to the changing room. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to buy. And she's like, no, you go in there. You go in there and you take this and you try it on. And I was like, okay. And so I went in and I tried it on and I came out and she's like, you see, I told you. And I was like, you mean it's nice? And she was like, yes, that's what I told you. You buy this. And I was like, okay. All right. So I bought it. And it's a nice shirt. It really is. But I don't know how the hell I got somehow I got kidnapped in this store. I walked in, I got kidnapped. And the next thing I knew, I was walking around with a shopping bag and I just bought a shirt. I was like, it's like, what? But oh, God. Oh, man. Well, I get made fun of sometimes too, because there's a store up in the mountains near me. And whenever I go in there, there's this woman from Texas and she has like big blonde hair. And she'll come over and she'll be like, how are you doing? And I'm like, I'm doing good. And she's like, come on over to the cabinet with the rings. I'm going to show you some stuff. And she takes me over to where like the skull rings are. She takes me to the cabinet with all the skull rings and they have all that crap. And she's like, let's try some on you. And I'm like, fine, okay. I'm holding my hand out. And she's putting rings on my fingers. And I get made fun of because, like, I've bought some of those. I bought some from her. And I'm always, like, people laugh at me whenever we're up there. And they're like, oh, God, is the lady from Texas going to be there? Because she's going to work him. She's just going to work him. And he's going to buy something because he can't help himself. And sometimes they'll see her in there in the store and they'll be like, oh, God, keep walking. And so, yeah, so... Yeah. Turning me into Ozzy, man. That's right. That's what she's trying to do. She's turning me into Ozzy. She has some nice rings, though. I got to say, man, some of these rings are really... So anyway, but skull rings are hard. There actually aren't many good ones. You have to be really careful with a skull ring because it'll look really stupid if you're not careful. Really stupid. It'll look like you're trying to be Keith Richards. You know, the Rolling Stones guy, he always has a skull ring on. Every interview he does, every photograph, he's got that goddamn skull ring on. Ever since he was like 30, he's had this. And so you can't wear a certain kind of skull ring because you'll be like, oh, you're just trying to be like Keith Richards. You just can't do it. You can only wear a certain kind of skull ring. So... They can't be too big. You know, they can't be too like Hell's Angels. They can't go too much in any direction. They have to be a little on the subtle side. Almost impossible to find. Who the hell is Dio? Who's Dio? Dio? Should I know? Dionne Warwick. Dio Helldiver? What? I got to look this up. Let me see. What is Dio Hell? I'm going to be shocked. Watch. I'm going to be shocked. Let me see. Dio Helldiver? What? Dio Holy Diver. Holy Diver. Yeah. Debut studio album by heavy metal band Dio. Vocalist Ronnie James Dio. Released in 1983. Yeah, I should know this, and I don't. Oh, okay. So, Ronnie James. Okay, here we go. Let me see. So here's Oh, this must be the dude you're talking. Hold on. Let me see. Oh, I can't play it. If I get it on stream, if I get the sound on stream, they'll ding me for copyright. I can't let it play, but that's cool. I'll listen to it later. So Holy Diver, yeah, I'm embarrassed to say I just don't even know what it is. Wow. Probably an interesting story. 40 years ago, Ronnie James Dio cemented his greatness with Holy Diver. Iconic debut album. Damn. Well, see, this is like a genre of music I kind of missed. That's why I don't know it. Okay, I get what I see. Yeah, he looks pretty cool actually. Yeah, I kind of like it. Yeah, okay, I'll take it. Misery Pimp. I didn't open the queue. I'm so sorry. Did I not open the queue? Hang on. Is the queue open or what? Oh, shoot. There you are. Misery Pimp. You're in. You're up. I'll take it. I'll take Dio. I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen tonight. And then the next time you see me on here, I'm going to have really long hair. And I'm going to have all my like rings on. I'm going to be like, I'm going to be doing my 80s thing. Yes, you may, Misery Pimp. You can certainly get a general guidance for the week ahead. This is a very good thing to do with tarot. So I'm shuffling up the cards. Yeah, open up the stream. Well, hopefully they're on Epidemic Sound. I use that Epidemic service for all my audio needs. All right, Misery. Misery, let's hope we can give you a non-misery reading, a joyful reading. Let's see. But it's all up to the tarot, okay? The tarot delivers its message whether we like it or not. All we do is we are the conduit. All right, Misery. Now, what we have here is the primary message coming from above here, the mountain, so to speak, the stillness of the mountain, what we look up to. Over here on the left, we have a little harder to see sort of light shining through the trees on the slope, the foothills of the mountain, the unconscious, the part that we may have missed. And over here on the right is the bright light shining from a little higher up the mountain. It's a little clearer signal. It's kind of appealing to our rational mind over here. But let's start with the main signal we see coming from the top. And what do we get? We get the 3 of Pentacles, coins. the material world, all things matter oriented, all things that are made of matter, physical stuff, everything, including ourselves, our body, everything we own or want to own, everything we need, the sustaining, the money, the sustenance, the stuff, the soil that we put our seeds into, all the ground, the land, the real estate. That's all this. 3 is an active number. It's the number of moving out into action, doing something, doing the job, doing the work, building the house. The time for planning has ended, but we have a reversal here. This card is upside down, and therefore it's telling us that there's a bit more to ponder, that we're not able yet to move forward into our action. We can't, we're kind of still waiting to step through the door, to put down our pencil and paper, our planning notebooks, to stop muddling over things in our mind and actually get it built. We're having a little trouble there, and that's the signal that the reading wants us to be looking at. That's kind of the main problem it wants us to address wherever it's occurring, whether at home or at work or just something in our mind that we can't quite resolve. Okay, something we're thinking about doing, we want to do, something we want to buy, something we want to earn. Somehow we are not able yet to take a very specific action that we really want to, but we're just stuck for some reason. It's not a severe problem because it's a number card, okay? It's a small card. It's down lower rank, this card. It means it can turn itself around on a daily basis, okay? Now, this signal coming through the trees, a little dimmer, harder to see. Another reversal, and it's the 9 of Wands. Another card here, and it's a little bit held back, but it's not a severe problem. Relatively minor. The wands are the fire, they're the passion, the instinct, the tendency to want to achieve something, or, an attraction. And this is attraction in the sense of the force of attraction. It can be for a person, it can be for a task, it can be anything that sparks you and makes you feel an urge to accomplish something, to create something, to invent, to be with, to be near. That's what the wands are. They're that fire in you that compels you, and it's kind of, you don't really know quite really how to explain it. You just know it when you feel it. The wands, the fire, right? The attraction. And the 9 is the number of reaching completion, getting to the end of something and seeing the light. You're about to get through to the other side. And it's really hard, and it takes application of all that you know. It takes you being at your highest level in order to accomplish a full, complete victory here in what it is you're trying to do or get. And you can't seem to get there. So it puts the 9 on its more tired aspect. How the effort is draining, and it's so hard, and it leaves you wounded. You want to heal from your wounds, and you're not finished with this project yet, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting. You just want to rest, okay? And that's why this card is here. And this is an unconscious factor here. So whatever's compelling you not to go through that door, to do what it is you want to do or accomplish or build, whatever that is, there's some nervousness about your creative ability. And maybe you're exhausted from something else that you've done, but there's some thing that you're not fully aware of in your desire to do something up here, this desire, and it's holding you down, holding you back. You're hesitating. Okay. Now on the right, a little bit of conscious advice, and so we have a king that shows up again, a king, and it's the King of Cups. Cups are interesting because they're your heart. They're also your emotional reaction to something. They're how you respond, how a situation or a problem affects you emotionally and causes you to respond in a certain way with a reaction. What does it do to you? How in control of your reaction are you? How well can you use the feeling that this problem gives you in order to solve the problem or to learn from it, to grow from it? Well, you've got the king, and the king is excellent at that. That's what the king does. The king it has mastery. The king has ability. The king has strength and power and authority, and is able to control his reactions, his feelings, and use them to benefit, and is able to look into his heart, to look into his feelings, and understand what they're doing to him, where these feelings come from, and to figure out a way using his rationality, using his great experience and understanding, using all of that he finds in his reaction to the situation, using it to grow and improve. That's what the king is going to do, because the king is right side up. So the good qualities of the king are present here in this week for you. So the basic idea here is actually quite simple. It can be boiled down to having some issues completing some kind of action that is something to do with work or projects or getting something done. There's a little hesitancy, a little lack of confidence going on in your ability to complete it. But the advice is to pay attention to that part of your nature that understands very well how you react and how your feelings and fears on an emotional level can be responsible for making you hesitate sometimes and hold back and doubt yourself. But you have the ability to work through that as the king, to solve that and to grow from it and be able to take these actions you need to take to complete what it is you need to do. That's what the reading is saying would be wise to consider this week. Oh, good. So it seems like you may have found an area where this kind of suggestion could work for you, which is really good. You're very welcome. Absolutely, anytime. Yeah. And it's so funny, we were just talking about the king card just a few minutes ago, and then we get one. Oh, Sonoron, you are right there. You are up. I have to run. I'm going to go and get another one of these drinks. I got to run into the other room. Hang on 1 second. I'm going to be right back. Okay. All right. So you got out of a toxic situation and it distracted you from your spirituality and your music that you create. Okay. Okay, so that means that king at the end of the reading, it's just a reaffirmation, Misery, that you have everything you need to look at how that affected you and see where it holds you back from your music. So that king card is the card to keep. I still have it here. Well, no, I don't. But that's the card to keep in mind. And Sonoronen, I'm shuffling for you now. General. Okay. Our topmost impression. And what do we get? 7 of Swords reversed. Mentality. Our thinking. 7 is always trying to get higher. 7 is always trying to take the learning and move into a better perspective, a place where we can, get an overall better view of things, but also where we can learn how to use what it is we're good at, what we know, to use it, to put it out and make it have some kind of an effect. And the 7 is always tending toward some kind of a higher plane, a little more, almost a spiritual level. Now, reversed, what we're getting into is an inability to see the wider view, to see the forest instead of just the trees. We're getting lost a little bit in details. We're getting hung up on things that are distracting us from the broader view. We can get caught in little thoughts and problems, and it can start to get oppressive. And that 7 is saying, okay, we're having some problems. We're stuck down on the lower ground floor looking at whatever it is we're thinking about most of the time. And we're having a trouble getting up the stairs to the roof to look out and see things more clearly. That's why the 7 is reversed. But it's not a huge problem. It's a number card, okay? So could change tomorrow. So the cards are working basically on this issue. And the suggestion here, now we see the Knight of Cups. So what this is a sort of unconscious, this is something you're not always aware of, and that is the ability that's sort of innate in you to act, to take, real decisive action when you're dealing with your heart and emotions, real clear action. How do you handle these things? Well, you handle them with incredible confidence, sometimes even to the point of, moving a little too quickly and impulsively, perhaps. The Knight just charges out and gets things done. The Knight is able to follow their emotions, their feelings immediately. They trust in their heart and they gallop off with it. And So their reactions can be very strong to things. So it's looking at here, there's some kind of an issue holding you up. You keep thinking about it. Maybe it keeps coming up and you haven't yet been able to figure out what the solution is or what the cause is, or it's just one of those things that just keeps bugging you. And underneath that is this, a little bit of emotional, instinctive sort of quick reactions that can sometimes run away with you, but in most cases, you simply are very quick to respond to what your heart tells you. And then here, something to be aware of and think about, and you get the big major strength card. And the strength card, again, as we were talking about earlier tonight, this idea of mastering forces that are somewhat poorly understood, natural forces, instinctive forces, animal nature. So if you have an unconscious urge to follow your heart very quickly and sometimes overreact, sometimes you can make emotional decisions so quickly that, you're kind of stuck with the result, basically. But here, there's this card saying, hey, even though that happens, remember that you also have a real ability to master yourself, to master urges and forces that go on in you. And you have to call upon those. You have to remember you have those. You have to keep this card in your vision at all times so that you remember to control and master things that, because of this card, sometimes seem too quick, too aggressive, too emotional. And by being able to handle your reactions, to handle your heart, to get a sort of a grip on it, you may in fact find that you can start working on understanding whatever this is that keeps popping up. And the idea here is there's no solution visible. It's an irritant. It's not a severe one. It's just something that kind of needs a little bit more work. But the real card to think about is this strength card, which can lead you through what could sometimes be, emotional reactions. Maybe this thought that you can't figure out, whatever this problem is that keeps coming up, causes strong emotional responses here. And there's nothing wrong with strong emotional responses. It's just probably part of one's nature. But in order to understand this problem, you may need to call upon this strength, this ability to master yourself and calm whatever emotional whirlwind might be passing through. So during the week, if something should arise that's irritating and somehow disturbs you and gets a strong emotional response from your system, call upon this strength, visualize this and how it masters these reactions, allowing you the time you need to figure out what the heck is going on with the problem here. That's essentially what the reading is saying in its odd tarot language. It says there could be a problem that's irritating. It keeps coming up. It doesn't know what the problem is. It doesn't know specifically. Yes, calm is good in this situation, it seems. Calm yet firm is the implication of the Strength card. Calm but firm. It's very possible to be strong about something, but stay placid. Who's watch? I see you have joined in. You're welcome, Sonoranen. So you can just pick your topic or your question. I'll do a little more shuffling. Love reading. Okay. All right. The main point to consider. Page of Cups. Okay? This is the primary signal coming from the love reading, and that is, you can't always figure out what's going on right away. It can be enjoyable, though. You don't have to know. You see how the page has opened up the cup and is looking in? The page is young, is inexperienced, a bit naive, has a lot to learn, but is doing that job, is learning, is looking in, is investigating. He's willing to explore his or her own heart. He's willing to say, I don't understand this feeling, but I'm going to feel it. I'm going to just sort of go with it. The page is always ready to explore. Very certain that they will figure things out eventually. They have to learn. They know they have to learn, and they're happy to do so. So whatever the situation with love is, no matter how confusing it is, the page is there to say, yeah, that's right. It's confusing and you don't always know what's going on. But that doesn't mean it's not something you are fully happy to do. And remember that, this is always a process of learning, and you're not an expert. No one's an expert at their own heart, really, especially when they're younger. So the page is there simply to remind. It's just a card of encouragement for going through all of the turmoils and ups and downs and mistakes that you make in love. And that's why that card has very appropriately shown up in the first highest spot. Then here, sort of underneath, we get an 8 of swords, right side up. And so the 8 is the kind of the idea of what you do, what you accomplish has balance. You put a lot of hard work in. There's a lot of thought that's gone in to whatever situation you happen to be in, whether it's love. And since we're talking about love, then it is. And so whatever kind of thinking you do and whatever beliefs you have about love and how you organize and sort those relationships out, how you structure them for yourself, how you talk to people about love, how you communicate the ideas that you have about relationships and where they should go and all that kind of thing, all that sort of discussion and back and forth with someone you're in a relationship with or friends or whatever. That's all here in the Swords card. And the 8 is this idea of a lot of effort, a lot of skill. You have a lot of understanding and you're able to balance things and work on things. And the card is there on the left just to say, look, you may not be aware at how well you can communicate and work things out in the realm of love. You may not be aware of that, but it's there and you can call upon it. Now on the right, something to think about. You have a reversed 4 of Wands. The 4 is the number of stability, security, comfort. Can also get a little boring. Hi, Virgo. How are you? I see you there. So it can get a little dull in the realm of love, the 4. It can be a little homebody sort of thing. Like, we've been inside watching TV too much. Why are we in this relationship? We both love each other, yeah, but we're just lying on the sofa watching stupid shows all day long. Come on. Let's have more fun. Let's go out and go to dinner. Let's go to Hawaii or something, right? And so, but it's reversed. So what this is saying is you don't have to settle. Keep in mind that you don't have to settle. You don't have to do it. And these are number cards here. So they're sort of immediate. They're not long lasting. So the idea is make sure like you don't make some stupid agreement right away with someone and try to settle in or stay in a boring condition. Get up in the next couple of days and go and do something new. That's why the 4 is reversed. It's saying don't close yourself in. Don't be isolated and closed into your little safety zone. Get out of the bubble. Go out and talk to someone or call someone and talk to them, but do something that's a little bit different. Okay? And it's talking about the next few days. That's why it's a number card. Just get out and do something a little different. Be creative in a slightly different way. It's a Wands card saying be creative, use your energy of attraction in love and all that element. Use it in a different way that you haven't really done before. Try something a little different. And remember, keep this guy in mind. The page is always like, yeah. This is fun. Let's figure this out. We're going to work this out. Even if we're bored, there's all kinds of things we can do. We can go mini golf. We can go to the amusement park, whatever. We'll find something to make things a little different in the next few days. And, and we can work all of this out very easily with friends or whomever, because we're really good at that kind of thing. It's right here. This is the proof. So keep the page in mind mainly. Enthusiastic about figuring it all out and figuring out what love has to offer, and not worried at all about making dumb mistakes. And not worried about the fact that things are boring, because this little suggestion here is really very lightweight. It's just like, hey, do something a little different and you'll be fine. And Virgo, you are up. So I hope that applies. You're very welcome. Virgo Senpai. I'm shuffling for you. It's funny how we talk about earlier in the stream, we talk about the king concept, and then we keep getting king, and king of cups. We had like 3 court cups in a row in the last 3 readings. It's a good sign. Relationship. Anything narrow down you want to do about that? Or just totally general relationship? Oh, okay, a general. Okay. Well, who knows? Relationship could come up in the general. You never know what's going to come out of this. Hey, Llama, how are you doing? Good, doing well. Doing well. On my second can of sparkling water. All right. Okay. General. The general idea message coming from on high in the prime spot here. We get a reversed 9 of coins. Matter. Material. Earth. Stuff. Money. Work. Your job. Everything that you need to keep going. That's what this is. And the 9 reversed, something's not clicking yet. You've been working, you're working hard, you're trying to figure it out, you're trying to get there. It's tiring, it's exhausting, it's hard. It's like you just can't quite close the door on what it is you're trying to get through. You're trying to build, you're trying to make, you're trying to finish. Anything to do with work, effort, money. You can't quite finalize something, and that's what this message here is getting at. It's saying, let's focus on this thing, whatever it is you feel is left hanging. Okay? And it's saying, okay, look, underneath all of this irritating inability to close the deal is the Queen of Swords, which means we know what the hell we're doing. And we can depend on it. We've got this very capable, confident woman here, or this energy, this female nurturing energy, whether we are man or woman, anything we are. It's just a force we're talking about. And we have this intelligence and capability and skill to solve conflict, to communicate productively. She's incredibly fertile imagination. All right. And that's what we've got in spades in our pocket at all times. And the thing is saying, no matter how difficult it is to close the deal here, whatever it may be, how anxious it makes you, you have this inherent ability to understand and work these things out in a very positive way. You're able to master these situations ultimately, and the cards want you to have that confidence. They want you to depend upon that part of you, which sometimes you forget you have. You can always forget you have this in you when things get thick and hard to handle. Okay? And then over here, you've got the King of Coins reversed. Now, the King of Coins, he's playing in with this, okay? So the King of Coins, what this is saying now is consciously be aware and keep in mind the sort of warning that inexperience, lack of resources. These are things the cards are saying, be careful of this. This is a problem you will need to handle in order to get past whatever it is that's bothering you, that's holding something back. It could be financial or work related. The reversal of the king implies a kind of rigidity, habitual something that's going on that's helping to keep you from being able to confidently finish what it is you're trying to do or to get what you're trying to get. And to watch out for behavior that is the opposite of considered, careful, confident work. Be very cautious of undisciplined behavior coming from somewhere. To solve these problems is going to require the calm, steady, healthy approach of the Queen of Swords, using your mind, figuring out where the problems are, where the weaknesses are. And that's the card to ponder for the reading overall. She takes care. She fosters growth. She is a solution provider. Okay? The reversed king can be a rigid sort of a roadblock because of arrogance, poor habits. Be careful of these things. Look for them around you or in your own behavior and try to eliminate them from the equation. That's what that card is there for. And then you will be able to see where the problem is and whatever you think needs handling. No, I have Perrier is great, but I have Bubbly. I've got the one in the can from the Bubbly. Which I think is made by... Isn't it the same people that do... Oh yeah, Pepsi. It's the Pepsi people. So I hope, Virgo, that I mean, I'm constantly running into things I can't get through and complete. I'm like, what's the problem? Why can't I do it? And, sometimes it boils down to my own distracted mind, not, this reversed king showing up as distraction, and having to remember that this concentrated person over here is where I need to go. Well, yeah, so when it's sort of, when it's like that, when it could apply here or there, then basically the tarot, you take it really as a very general piece of advice. Instead of trying to apply it to one particular thing, you say, well, the general gist of what the tarot is saying is, in anything that sort of has a quality of being difficult to get to, difficult to understand, difficult to accomplish, simply stay calm and rely upon or remind myself that I have all the ability and skills I need, and to remember to maintain a calm, strong sense of always trying to seek whatever improves the situation. And so that kind of suggestion can be applied to almost anything, whichever things you think need that kind of reminder. That's probably the most useful way to use it, I'm guessing. At least for me. Could be totally different for someone else. No two people use tarot the same way. No two readers do it the same way. And no two questioners absorb it the same way or interpret the reading given to them the same way. Oh, I love robots. There you go. Okay, I gotcha. You're in. You're next. Sorry, I was like, I was a little slow on the pickup there. You're welcome, Virgo. Okay, I'm going to shuffle. Love robots. I'm shuffling. You have a conflict with your employer. What do you see as the outcome? Okay. What the tarot will do is communicate a way to sort of a perspective, a way to kind of see your way through conflict and make suggestions that may give you a kind of a new sort of, okay, maybe if I kind of think about this angle, maybe I've missed something here. Let's see what its primary signal is. 6. All right. So you're talking about work. We've got the coins here. We've got a 6 reversed. Okay. So you got the 6. This interesting. It's come up. If you're having a conflict with an employer, so clearly the coins cards here are representing work and money, your job, employer. That's all here in the coins. And the 6 is the number of harmony and communication and sharing and enjoyment and achievement and wanting to sort of magnanimously kind of, enhance the community, and everyone gains from what it is you've accomplished, right? And you want to share. You want to make toasts and cheer and drink champagne and stuff with the 6. The 6 is a celebratory, cheerful number, but it's reversed here. It's upside down. So that's saying the tarot is aware. The tarot is saying, yeah, there's a communications problem. There is something not being adequately communicated. People are not syncing and talking and enjoying that process enough. So anytime you see the 6 reversed, it means lines of communication have to be opened. You have to exchange Usually conflicts in jobs have a lot to do with the left hand not understanding what the right hand is doing. Communication not going well. Not understanding or accepting what another person's perspective or what their problem happens to be or their situation. Rigidity. Now, it doesn't look like this is a big problem because it's a number card. So it's saying, look, this is going on. There needs to be more communication. There needs to be more discussion about practical matters. And it's not that difficult to do so here. Okay, this shouldn't require a lot of effort. Now over here, we get judgment. Okay, so this is a big one underlying somewhere in this scenario. Something is not being heard. Something's not being listened to. It could be that, yes, love robots. Coins are about practical matters. They're about work and sustenance and money. And especially when the question is specifically about work, then yes, they are very definitely pointing at work. And the judgment card here is a rather significant symbol for something that's under the surface of this conflict, which is, again, it sort of works hand in hand with the upside down 6 because it's saying, look, something's not being listened to. Someone's not being heard. Someone's not paying attention, first of all, to what another person is saying or, presenting with their situation. But more than that, you have to make sure that what you are doing is beyond reproach, that you have all of your I's dotted and T's crossed, and you have to be able to judge yourself and come out on the right end of that. You have to be able, and this upside down judgment is saying, look, there's some problems here with, you got to look at what you are doing, and it's possible that someone else does too. But in general, the suggestion is underneath the idea of observing what you are doing and how you are doing it, making judgments here is perhaps not happening to a sufficient degree, and that more consideration needs to be given to making judgments, making decisions about how to do things in the best way so that we're not feeling like we didn't do what we should have. But we've also got to be able to hear and open ourselves up to what's being communicated. So that the battle here is to enhance communication, to do what it is you do very well so that you are beyond criticism. And then we have yet another reversal, a 7 of Swords, which is showing how it's basically saying on the right side here, it's saying be cautious and be aware of this problem, which is because of the lack of communication, things are taking a lower road. The discussion, the conflict is getting a little it's losing its ability to reach for something positive, because the 7 is always trying to reach higher. It's trying to learn from what's going on and get a higher perspective. And to understand the overall situation better so that it can be resolved and the conflict can be ended. But when the 7 is reversed, it's stuck down here and it's more argumentative, and you can't get out of that back and forth, and it's not the lessons aren't being learned on either side. So people can't get up and go, you know what? I see things a little more clearly now. I understand more. Let's find a compromise. It's the card here is saying, watch out for that kind of trap. Don't be rigid. Don't be stuck in the conflict back and forth. Try and rise above it to find compromise. Try and elevate and go higher. But it's not going to be that difficult because it's a number card. So the card to really listen to in this reading is this one over here, Judgment, which is pay attention and listen carefully to what's coming between the lines somewhere, and look at everything you're doing and make really sure that what you are doing is highly appropriate and very, very much looking for a positive outcome where everybody gains. Okay? That message has to be listened to. You have to think about that card very carefully, because how you handle these conflicts leads to how you are judged, how you're judged by people. And to keep that in mind, that how you handle the very conflict itself will influence how people see you. And that's why this Judgment card is here. And saying, you know, there are problems there. There are problems that have to be, you know, they're hard to deal with because they're sort of instinctive. Like you may react a little bit. Like, you know, how some people get into a conflict and their face does things that just annoy people. Like they can't hide how they're feeling, and they do things that are just a little like, you're like, oh God, here we go again. Well, that Judgment card is there to say, be aware of these things. Be aware that every little thing is judged and is counted. And pay attention to them. In conflicts at work, I have found, and that's what this tarot reading is sort of suggesting, is that when you try to maintain a positive outlook and attempt to resolve conflicts for the benefit of both, of everyone, even if it seems weak to you, it's almost always the best road to take, because you have to minimize your ego to do that. You don't ever want to go into a conflict at work with ego. I've always found that that's always the danger. Anything you do out of ego at work is going to get you in trouble. Lama, you are up. You're welcome. I mean, I've had things at work. I've been at work at jobs where I've had a conflict with someone, very small thing, and I've realized, oh, you know what? I kind of let my ego run my mouth there. And I said something just a little too harsh just because I wanted to. And that's ego. Instead of just being easygoing and saying, yeah, let's find a way to make this better so that everybody can work better. That always tends to fly better at jobs than when you let your little ego go, oh, you know what? That pisses me off. I'm not going to take that. No, I'm going to assert myself here. That's always a little bit risky to do. General reading, Lama. Okay. What to look for? What kind of energy to bring to the next week or so? Okay. Our primary wavelength. Reversal hangman. Hangman, right off the top of the mind, is always talking about waiting. Waiting and letting time pass so that we get a clearer understanding. Sometimes we have to sort of sacrifice, as I was just talking about, letting the ego drop. That's what Hangman is all about. But it's reversed. So it shows maybe there's some problems here. Maybe the ego wants to stay kind of active, and it could be trying to drive the boat, you know? And that's what the tarot wants to talk about right now for the next week or so. It wants to say, look, here's something pretty significant, and it has to do with ego and not being able to kind of let the ship sort of sit in the water, lower the sails. You don't have to get anywhere yet. You can kind of just let the waves sort of move us a little bit. And we just kind of have to sit quietly and kind of gather ourselves, right? And maybe something will occur to us about what we need to do. But we have to let things sort of kind of move at their own pace for a while. And if there's problems with that, if we feel rushed or forced, we feel in any way pressed to get somewhere or do something, that's the problem this tarot spread is addressing right now. And then over here we have, an Ace of Wands. We have this, probably, what's compelling us to not want to wait, to be a little impatient up here, is this creative energy that we got something we want to do, man. We want to get it started. I want to apply myself. I want to apply all this incredible talent I have, all this ability, and I'm every ounce of my instinct says, come on, man, I gotta do it. All right, that's an unconscious drive we've got. But over here, something else to think about. King of Wands shows up. Now it's the same suit here. It's the same wands here. Passion, drive, energy. And the king is like, okay, so this card is saying, keep in mind now, this is something right out there and visible to you and everyone else. And that is, you got to be ready. You got to be ready. You can't push. You can't force if you don't have the wherewithal. You don't have the right situation yet. You don't have the right perspective yet. You can't just blunder ahead and start making decisions because the king wouldn't do that. But the king is here upside down because the card is warning you against this kind of thinking you've got thinking you're ready to do something, thinking you're ready to take an action, but you're really not yet. And that's why the Hangman is up there as the most important card in this reading. You've got to be willing to wait, take time. Impatience is kind of indicated by both these cards together. Impatience, even though you've got this enormous creative energy, a lot of potential, you don't want to let it run away with you through aggressive, undisciplined, impulsive actions. And so these cards are a double whammy warning to beware of rushing anything. Take time, think, don't let your ego drive your mouth. It's a big thing. It's a hard thing to do. Not let the ego drive the mouth. Oh man, it's hard. I don't know why it's so hard, but it is. It's just, really hard. It can be torturous. It really can. Patience. Yeah, but it's usually well worth it. Yeah. Unless you're running a race, patience is usually a good thing. You're welcome, Llama. I'm always sort of disappointed when I see the Hanged Man upside down. I kind of like the Hanged Man card. And I'm always like, oh, I want to talk about the Hanged Man, like when he's hanging, when he's hanging. I don't want to be impatient. Darn. The darn tarot. Just does what it wants. Gives me upside down cards when I don't want them. Oh, you know what? I want to check. I'm trying to improve my rating of other streams. Like the other night when I ended my stream, I was like, I ended it and then I was like, oh wait, I gotta raid someone. So I came back in real quick and did that. But I always forget where you go to do it. You go to they have a dashboard. Ah, here we go. Yeah. There we go. Raid channel. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, and then right. Let me. You have to search okay, tarot. Yeah, there we go. There they are. All the tarot people. Look at them. They're all out. They're all doing their thing. Got a bunch of people tonight. Yeah, it's good to see. The people are tarrowing. Oh, the other day I was playing around with making YouTube thumbnails. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. So if I go, let me go to. Okay, here it is. So how do I I'm going to try and get there with my screen. Hang on. Okay. Hang on a sec. So the game, I'm going to try to get, here we go. Capture specific. No. Can't seem to get it. How do I do it? It's so weird how this thing works. Nope, it's not letting me. I want to try to show this darn thing. Oh, wait, maybe, no. Nope. Hi, Buster Hyman. Oh, what? Wait a minute. Oh. Hi, Buster. I'm doing good. Buster's fine. Okay. Oh, God. Okay, you are up, Buster. I'm shuffling. Anyway, I was talking about how I was learning how to make YouTube thumbnails. There's like a specific thing to do. So, Buster, you just tell me what your subject or question is. And we will let the cards do the talking. can't believe I got suckered. Jesus. Okay. What you need to do to improve yourself mentally. All right. Okay. Primarily, the main message coming down the mountain. All right. The King of Swords. You know the kings do? They use discipline. They make wise, considered decisions with discipline, and they call upon their knowledge. And the swords are all about knowledge, mentality. And you were talking about improving yourself mentally. And what the card is saying, okay, it's saying, all right, we're talking mental. That's why the swords come up as the primary message here. And the king, what that's saying is, hey, listen, your ability to master things and figure them out and make decisions carefully that are actually well reasoned. That ability is there, and you need to pay attention to it and use it. It's something that you can rely on, and you really need to put it into effect. Tarot here is saying, use that part of you. Be the wise counselor. Be the person that people look up to, because your ideas aren't just off the top of your head. They're not just poof. They're considered, and they're based upon logic, and they have beneficial effects. Tarot wants you to think about that. Keep that in the main, this is the main point of this particular reading. Now here we have, okay, something you may not be aware of is sometimes your passions may kind of run away with you. You may get a little, you may get a little creatively kind of goofy. And that's there. You do things that are a little ill-considered, undisciplined, and they kind of run away, and they get you a little hot-headed, and you get you all kind of make some silly decisions. And the tarot here is saying, okay, that's something that you kind of lose track of sometimes. It conflicts with your strong mind, with the intellect up here. They're kind of in conflict. And then over here is an advice, a little suggestion. And that is the Three of Cups. Okay, that is basically saying, don't take action. Don't do things unless they are actually in line with real, genuine feelings and affection. Do things for love, not for, silly reasons, undisciplined reasons, selfish reasons. Do things because the 3 is the number of taking action. 3 is when you go out and you do something instead of talking about it or planning to do it. The 3 implies also possibility, new things, new possibilities, new ways of doing things, new roads to follow. And the cups are the heart, your feelings, your emotional responses. So improving yourself mentally, the suggestion here to keep in mind is take actions that are based on what you actually want. You have to know what your heart is actually wanting. And that's where your actions have to be oriented. Maintain your sense of calm, reasonable, confident, supportive person that can be trusted and relied upon at all times. That's the card to really keep in your mind about finding improving mentally. That king that is reliable, capable, always looking to make the right move at the right time, always able to communicate, get ideas from others, always wants to understand things better, but wants to take a leadership position in order to bring everything up. And the cards are trying to focus you in that direction. Hot-headed? Well, okay. So that hot-headedness, it's there, and the tarot is basically suggesting that, if you are able to rely on this more confident, steady approach and think about that. Remind yourself constantly of that. Talk to yourself silently about that character, that aspect of your personality that you want to fall back on. Keep reminding yourself. That's why it's here at the top. And follow your heart. Don't do things unless you truly want to do them. Because usually when you're doing things out of hot-headedness, you don't really want to do them. I hope that next time you feel a little hot-headed, just think about King card tarot. King card wouldn't do this. King card wouldn't start making nasty remarks. He'd do something else. And then you'll see it'll kind of make you, oh, yeah, okay, yeah. I'm going to be the other guy. I'm not going to be the hot-headed me. I'm going to be the me that's more like, whoa, that dude just did something that was like kind of profound and like, pretty good guy. You are welcome, Buster. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the follow. The follows are great. As I was saying earlier, they let, if you have your settings and everything, they pop up. I love getting notices, streamers that I follow, and I get a notice like, hey, Jack Rabbit's going online, is live. And I'll be like, oh yeah, cool, man. Like I'll be eating lunch or something. I'll be like, I'll just turn them on. That's good. It's so funny, man, with these streams and stuff. it's like sometimes they're better than like television and everything. You know, you can just put your earphones in, and you can be anywhere, and you can like get all this information and stuff, or you can like watch a stream or whatever, and you know, it's just I don't know. It's like really works. It really works. Like there's a lot I like about this stuff better than like watching Netflix or something. It's just sometimes there's just better stuff, you know. It's just more interesting. You learn more, for sure. Recently, I've actually been looking at YouTube videos and learning from them. There's tons. So, in fact, somebody was telling me the other day, they were like, nobody can learn anything anymore without somebody's face on a screen telling them the stuff. And I was like, yeah, I was thinking I've been doing this. Oh, I don't want to tell them I've been doing that too. So, well, modern world. Boy, there's nothing wrong with having a face. Although what I get tired of on YouTube and stuff, it's okay. I'm gonna try to do it. It's this. It's okay. Like the YouTuber will get in and they'll be like, kind of like, let me do it like this. They'll be like, hi, I'm going to review the latest X1000 gaming PC. And let me tell you something. It is not all it's cracked up to be. Or is it? That's basically what YouTubers are doing, even if they have good information. They're like selling the information, like, look at this PC. And I took the screw out. Not so good. It's chipped. They shipped me a chipped chip. Not good. Anyway, let's see how it stacks up performance-wise. But first, our sponsor. I mean, it's like, why are you talking that way? Why are you all like amped up as if everybody needs somebody going like this in order just to know that a computer can process a video file in 4 minutes instead of 8 minutes? Just say, yeah, I tested the computer and it runs this video file thing at 4 minutes, whereas last time it was doing it in 8 minutes. Why do you have to sell it like you're in a used car lot? It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And almost everybody is doing it. Everybody. You see like perfectly attractive people, and they set up and they do something and trying to be informative, and they get into, I'm here to sell you the best mattress you've ever slept on. It only costs $750, going once, going twice, going a third time to the person in the back. You know, it's like, come on. So funny. So funny. And there was a tarot guy I was actually very impressed by who was kind of doing that with tarot, like reading really fast. I called it like a circus performer. He was like he had a microphone. He was, you know, doing that. The problem is those kinds of rhythms, they get tiring. That's why I stop watching YouTube people who do computer reviews and stuff, because they're so obnoxious. They're trying to make their material seem super entertaining, and it backfires for me every single time. I can't watch these people. I can't watch them. I'll often just turn it off. No matter what they're saying about a computer, I'll have to shut it off before they're done. Because it's just so, it's like, it's grating on the nerves, basically. but they're doing it because they're playing along with something that's algorithmic that they've decided works with YouTube. That if I do this kind of behavior and I go, ah, like that in my images, people click on it. They come and they watch. And it's just, really annoying. It's annoying. But I did a YouTube thumbnail where I'm kind of going, I just wanted to see if I could do it. So. There's my YouTube critique for the month. I think I need more sparkling water too. I'm running low. I'm not running low. I'm empty. Damn. It's my second can. It's my second can. Shoot. All right, I'm going to stay on a little. I've got to go get another one. I'll be right back. I will be right back. Ooh. Perfect. Perfecto. Actually, wait, you can't do this anymore. You have to do this. Perfecto. Perfect. This is like a symbol for I think QAnon or something. You got to do this now. Oh, yeah. Like Italiano. Perfecti. Perfected. Perfecto mundo. Grazie, grazie, perfetto. I'm sorry. I keep laughing at this this username. You know. I have an adolescent sense of humor at times myself. It's one of my most charming qualities. My obnoxious adolescent humor. I'm prone to bursting out in adolescent jokes while walking down a nice, calm shopping street. So I pulled that card out off the deck just now, the Six of Swords, while thinking about the concept of streaming. I was like, okay, the idea of streaming about tarot, podcasting, YouTube videos. You know, everybody always wonders, do I have any business doing this? Should I be doing this? Is it silly, stupid, total waste of everyone's time? But I got the Six of Swords. And so that just says, you know, swords are about communication and thought and ideas, presenting ideas, discussing back and forth. That's all in the swords. Belief. Concepts. And the Six is supporting the idea. If you get a Six, you're talking about streaming. You're basically going to keep streaming. The Six is communication and harmony and, you know, sharing, going back and forth with people, enjoying talking to everybody in the town square. That's what the Six is. A lot of sharing, a lot of back and forth, community. That's it. That's Six of Swords sitting right there. It's all about gathering and enjoying. So, well, I guess I'll keep good doing it, right? I have not been given a reason not to. It's very easy to find reasons not to do things. Very, very easy. All you have to do is pick any one of 100 and you're good to go. You can stop what it is you're doing. You can put it away forever and think that it was completely silly and you wasted everybody's time and you never should have done it anyway, and you're far better off not wasting that kind of time anymore. Really easy thing to do. Most people do it. They probably should. Absolutely. And there's a lot of inertia. There's a lot of like tendency away from pushing, going through doing things. it's natural inertia. It's hard to do consistent creative energy things. It's hard to sort of put things out. And, that whole thing about being afraid of falling on your face and stuff, it's very, very, I guess there's nothing, it has its place. It could prevent you from, doing things like, hey, I'm going to talk to you about computers. It could prevent that, I guess. But you have to sort of work through that and get past it in order to get yourself consistently able to do something. It's relatively easy to do something for the first couple of rounds. It's harder to go all 12 rounds and keep going. It's hard to keep the engine moving. So that's a whole thing about consistent effort. And I think everybody that does any kind of an art form kind of is in tune with that. Hi, Saram. How are you doing? But the 6 of Swords, if you're talking about streaming and the idea of communicating ideas through a format, perhaps like this one, like I was talking about, it's a positive symbol for that. I'm good. I'm like musing about the energy required to do anything out of the ordinary, like when you want to create something, how easy it is to say, well, there's no point. I should just not do it. I should just do something else. Very easy to do that kind of withdrawal from something. So when you want to do something creative, follow through is key. It's even key when you know that you don't have it quite right. Still being able to follow through can get you to the point where you figure out what your weaknesses are. But you have to have that follow through. You have to get past inertia. It's hard to get mass moving forward. It's hard to get anything rolling. Is that something you feel with your streams? You're like that a lot with a lot of your creative avenues, especially when it's something you've grown to find normal. Yeah. So yeah, I was talking about how when you start up doing something like streaming, there's an imbalance between what you imagine and what you can actually accomplish at first. And so you work hard, you have to work hard in order to get past the initial burst of excitement that you might have when you get the idea to do something. And then you sort of face reality where it becomes apparent that it's more difficult than you thought. It's more complicated. It's hard to get traction. It's when you're trying to do something where you want to have a community, it takes time. And the time, I think, it presents resistance to somebody's idea of what they want to do and where they want to be with it. And so as soon as that conflict happens in their expectations, they're like, oh, well, yeah, it doesn't make sense. I don't know enough anyway about what I'm talking about. And so they find ways to ease out of it or just drop it. It happens with podcasts a lot. You'll notice podcasts appear and they'll do a few and then poof, they're gone. And they're just gone. And it happens a lot with people who partner. Like you would think that people who partner with someone would have more likelihood of succeeding because they've got multiple creative input and energy and people can. But in fact, it looks to me like most of the podcasts that last a long time are individuals who, because I think partnerships tend to very quickly run into practical scheduling conflicts and then they're gone. People can't simply, they get excited about something and then they go to dinner or something and we'll do this, it'll be great. And they do it a bit and then they can't. And so that happens. I think that's one big inertia point that, from my limited observation. But yeah, anytime you do something, like you try to, you do anything creative and present it and put it out, you have to overcome resistance, and resistance that's outside and in yourself to get, to keep, it's like doing push-ups. You've got to keep the muscle exercised. Otherwise you can't maintain the momentum as you start making the train move forward. So what I try to do for my own stuff is say, okay, if I'm going to make a schedule, as minimal as it might be, then stick to it. And don't let anything interfere with it. Don't let any dinner invitation cancel your schedule day. Do it. It's just, and if you can do that, if you can show over a few months that you have that discipline, that means you've overcome one major inertia point. So if you can stick to a schedule, I think, over a 3-month period, then the indication is that you can probably overcome most of the other inertia points and keep going. You do a lot of game level design, but you used to do video editing and you do programming every now and then too, but always seem to be finding something new every few months or so, but I really can keep it on schedule or anything. If I start though, I struggle to stop and will just sit there for like 12 hours working on something. But yeah. So yeah, big deep dive sort of thing. You get a lot of energy. But of course you don't want to maintain a 12-hour workday very long. It wouldn't be good for you. But you have to be able to keep a disciplined work schedule going that's manageable. Right. Can't keep it on. Yeah, I realized that's what you meant. Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes work goes up and down. Like you'll have to do a long day, got to get something working, got to get it out the door. Other times you're sort of in maintenance mode and you just have to respond to something now and then, just have to make sure things are working. Things go, they get busy, then they lag a bit. That's totally normal. Yeah. But when you're trying to work on a project and get something done, yeah, you have to have the discipline to say, okay, I've got to do day after day of consistent, solid effort so it gets done. Yeah. And that's one thing when you're working with a job that's paying you to do something on a schedule, then you have a lot of incentive. And so the inertia drops away because you have to. But when you're doing something like creative on your own time, that's a whole different story. The inertias there are very great because every instinct is telling you not to do it. Every instinct is saying, no, I'm too busy. I can't keep doing it. Things will conflict. They'll come up. I'll get distracted. There's no way I can do it. And so every instinct tells you not to do that thing. So you have to be like, if you really want to do it, you have to really say, okay, where are the points where those weaknesses pop up for me? Where am I most susceptible to the weakness? You know, assuming it's something that you really do want to be doing. If you want to be doing something, then you have to find ways to not let your lesser self talk you out of it. Hey, Jojo, how you doing? Have I ever considered streaming in the ASMR category? Have you ever watched ASMR? I think I've seen something, but I'm much more of a sort of, I like talking about ideas and, I like presenting things and doing things, discussing, I love reading tarot. So, so not really. I've never thought about actually doing that. I see, Jojo, you is always wearing at the end. Whisper. Whoa, whispering like this. Whispering. Interesting. I guess you're talking about vocal mannerisms or something. I'm Batman. Of course I can. After all, I'm Batman. Just thought I'd remind you, since you're standing there with all that Joker makeup all over your face, looking pretty damn silly. I just thought you might want to keep in mind one little thing. I'm Batman. You don't need to do anything special for it. The category is just good for like smooth voices or soft-spoken voices, but you can do whispering stuff too. Seems to get a lot of views. Also, streams with interactivity seem to get lots of views fast. Interesting. Oh, that's an interesting idea. I mean, look, views are good because you build a community. People come. Okay, Jojo, general reading. Okay, hang on. I'm going to do this. Let me shuffle the deck because, just so you know, I'm Batman. All right. General reading for Jojo. Primary. Top of the hill. Message. Hanged man shows up. And guess what? The hanged man is actually hanging. The hanged man is right side up. The hangman is doing the thing he's supposed to be doing. And so this general reading is basically talking about, hey, yeah, it's okay to kind of pause. No defensiveness required. Ego can kind of take a back seat. Let the worries kind of drift away. Take that kind of meditative perspective. Look at things with a kind of a patience, an easygoing attitude. Keep reminding yourself that things develop in their own time. You don't have to push. You don't have to hurry. And there's always another way of seeing things. So if you give yourself time to kind of relax and sort of just sort of live with whatever it is that's around you at the moment, whatever kind of scenario you're in, you just kind of live with it and just sort of let it. You don't have to really take any actions or sudden moves. You just sort of let yourself evolve with whatever is happening and see where it takes you, what it shows you. That's the primary message we're seeing. It's what the reading wants to be about. Now, underneath it, you have a knight. So you've got you've got two things here that are kind of like in conflict. And you've got the material world here. You've got money and work and everything saying, no, I got to go. I got to go. I got to charge in and get it done. I got to be gung ho. I got to be Mr. In charge. Boom, boom, boom. Go take care of business, right? And that's kind of my urge underneath. And so the tarot reading here is saying, whoa, hang on a second. We know you got that. We know that that's what you're wanting to do. And sometimes you don't even know that you're compelled to grasp and go after things kind of aggressively. But right now, what we're suggesting here is hang on a second. Just sort of ease back. Ease back, Mr. Knight. And let's sort of see what's going on around us for a while. And here, wow, you've got wands, passion, drive, energy, fire, the fuel behind what you want and want to accomplish. And he's the page, and the page is like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know anything yet. I don't know how to get this. I don't know how to apply my fire. What the hell? Fire? I don't have any damn passion. I'm just a kid. What the hell? I don't have passion. But that's okay, because he's like, well, I'll have it. I'll have it eventually. I'll get it. If you want passion, I'll learn. I'll figure it out. And so it's saying, hey, you know what? You can cool your jets. You don't have to be worried about where to make a buck, how to get ahead. You can cool this night's jets a little bit, even though it's very hard to resist the urge. Cool out, hang out for a bit. Let yourself kind of take a little bit of a break. Take a break is what this is saying. And you'll come out refreshed. And then you've got all sorts of enthusiasm that's going to get you moving. It's all the enthusiasm you need in a creative way. Okay? You don't have to worry so much about all the material money crap right now. Take a break from that and think about when you're ready to, get moving. After relaxing, then you can say, hey, you know what? Where can I apply my actual talents? Because I have a lot to learn there about how to use them, and I want to. Which direction can I go in? Something that attracts me and gets me excited, And but primarily, in order to prepare yourself for learning and accomplishing, this reading is suggesting that you take a little bit of time Give yourself time and permission to sort of simmer. You don't have to come to a boil right away. It's a meditative suggestion. When you meditate, you're never wasting time. Sarim, you're next. I've got you. Keep that Hanged Man in mind. It's a good card. I love that card because of its willingness to not listen to the damn ego all the time. Take it as it comes. A lot of traveling plans. Okay. Well, I hope those traveling plans lead to relaxation, like fun destinations. And that you can go see a Batman movie. If you don't go see a Batman movie, then I'm not going to say I'm Batman ever again. Oh, yes. Okay, the friend you find attractive. Yep. Ah, yes. Because we did a reading last week about that. Yeah. Oh. Well, gangster. Look, rapper just means artist. So hopefully they're not a real gangster. But if they're an artist, then they'll understand. They'll be very accommodating. Oh, well, yeah. So you're going to have to, you're going to have to be somewhat sly. You're going to have to work the circumstances as they arise. Well, okay, so at least you know you're forewarned is forearmed. If you've seen the music videos, then you know who you're dealing with to some extent. But what I find is that, look, make sure you're the hanged man. Don't get hung. Just make sure you're the hanged man, and you're able to say, I don't have to actually accomplish anything. All I have to do is bide my time. Bide your time. The wise person always knows when to bide their time and hold their tongue. Silence is often much more attractive than words that come flying out. So, there you go. Well, good. Now bring your security detail with you, and your armored car. Okay, so then, and when not to do any talking, right? Words can just get you into. These things. And the hanged man is there, reminding you. Okay, so Sarim, you said, can you order what the guy behind you ordered? that means you want a general reading on your week, right? Isn't that what that means? Number 7 with a Sprite. Is that for here or to go? All right, for here. Wow, the cards are weird. I'm having trouble finding the popper. Oh, here we go. All right, Sarum, let's look at what our main message is all about. Oh my God. The Hangman again, but reversed. Impatience. This is a note about the opposite of the one we were just talking about. It's a note about impatience, about not quite being comfortable with letting the guard drop, letting the ego rest. There's something a little impatient hovering around that the reading wants us to focus on. Something getting us, going to be a little bit like making us, oh, I better do something. I got to do something right away. I don't want to let the moment pass. Okay? And that may be valid. It depends on the situation, but the Hangman is there indicating there's something that's going to be compelling movement, activity, where you won't want to spend time pondering. Let's see what's underneath that. Okay, so yeah, 9 of Cups. So there's something emotional here. Something seems like it's coming. There's going to be impatience around it. There's going to be some, maybe some ego defense going on. And there's a lot of emotion underneath the surface. A lot of feeling. But it's about to change. There's something is either ending or something major has been accomplished or decided emotionally. And you're ready and you've learned from it and you're willing to accept it. It's been hard. That's why it's the 9. It's hard. It can be wounding. It can be, it's a lot of difficulty, but you're there. You're at the point where you can say, yeah, I have finished this. I understand it better. I've learned from it. I can move forward now to the next thing. I'm ready. And that's an emotional, it's dealing with the heart here. It could be love. It's just something that's deeply emotional for you. Now, as we've just said, hovering over this is the idea of some kind of impatience is arising. There's something compelling you to get something resolved without letting time pass. And then we have a very practical matter arises, physical. And it's the time for action. So I believe now that what the cards are saying here is, in fact, I think what they're saying, because of the reconfirmation of some sort of practical action, and this card is right side up. This is the 3 is the number of the time for planning and consideration is over. It's time to go and do this thing. It's time to physically take care of practical matters, and it's time to do them now. We're ready. There's new possibility. Okay, it could be work, money. It could be physicality. It could be your physical relationship with a person. But it's time to seize the day and do something. And there's a lot of emotion riding on all of this underneath, but things are about to reach ahead, and you're reaching a point where you're ready to transition. And the Hangman, I believe, is reversed for a positive reason, because it's reinforcing the fact that it's time now to do something. So the Hangman reversed is not reversed in a negative way here. It's reversed in a positive way, saying, look, you've done this. You don't have to now. You don't have to dilly-dally. You don't have to wait. You're at a point now where you can say, I know what my heart is telling me here. I know it. I'm full of the feeling. I can follow it. And there are specific things I need to do to make things start happening, get the ball rolling. And I need to get it rolling now. That's what this reading is saying. Things are going to start happening, and they need to shift. You need to take action, and they need to be based on what is a very, very sort of full feeling that you have emotionally somewhere driving all of this underneath. Well, it could be. If you're feeling really good about those and you want to keep going and pushing forward with them, that's a perfectly good way to apply it. The Hangman could simply be suggesting, no more taking the easy road. Now it's all about taking real hard, real new, change it up. You know how they say in workouts, change it up. Change it up all the time. Surprise your body. That could be. You could apply it that way. Yeah. And to work out, you have to do the thing. You have to take the moment. You have to apply everything you have to it. And the 9 of Cups could mean that. You could apply that intensity of feeling into a workout. And therefore, you complete it. You complete the workout to the full capacity that you have. No pain, no gain, as Arnold always said, right? You push yourself. You get it to the point where you've done a complete, full workout. You really worked whatever it is, however your workouts happen to be. Something new, absolutely. And when you're weightlifting, you can do, like, let's say a back exercise where you do like lat pulls, sitting on a bench, pulling the handle with the cable. Well, you change it up and do lat pulls where you're using a barbell and bending over with a weight belt on and you're pulling it back, like this, to your chest. Different changing up how the muscles have to adapt. And so, yes, you could say that's in the 3, because the 3 is always showing action, but also new possibility. That third element comes in, and you have like, okay, there's the road to take, and you take it. Like with boxing, if you work out, you have to be careful to switch around a lot, do different types of movements, different exercises to keep yourself flexible. You don't want to get in like a rut, so you use the 3 of coins as inspiration to get yourself that new approach. I closed the queue because it's getting late for me, so I'm gonna have to wind up, and then I will come back here. My schedule, which I've made a big point of following, get past that inertia, and part of that is sticking to a schedule. Tenderness, Gregory. Tenderness, yes, absolutely. The tenderness word. Yep. Yeah, when you come up with, that word came, that was like a week ago or so. The tenderness word comes out, and I was like, oh yeah, that's actually a good word. It can be very, very well used with tarot. But so I have to wind it up for tonight, but I'm going to come back on Wednesday at the same bat time, same bat channel, and do it again. And it's very nice to see people coming in, and you discovered your flaw, a fear of opening up. Incarnated King of Wands, you can be too serious. Yeah. I'm parsing that. I'm trying to parse that. Discovered your flaw. King of Wands, yeah. The thing is, it's interesting about being too serious because, sometimes people do, even though they're really good at what they do, and everything that you're good at takes a certain amount of seriousness, right? But when people get that too serious, it can actually deaden them. It can close them. Being a living King of Wands. Yeah. A living King of Wands. Yep. Yeah, it's good to remember those images from tarot. It sounds like you really have sort of tried to absorb an impression given by a tarot reading and sort of remind yourself to kind of live, as that persona a little bit. Yeah, very interesting. Well, I'll open up the queue again. It's possible I'll do one tomorrow. I probably won't be able to, though, now that I think about it. I'll probably have to wait and do my scheduled Wednesday. But again, I will open up with an I Ching for just because it's, I don't know, I just enjoy it. And then I'll open up a queue and we'll do more readings Wednesday night. Tonight I went through almost 3 cans of this cherry water. And so I better wind it up. And very good talking to everyone. A good, very good evening of readings. Really interesting results tonight. It's interesting every time, really, because I just feel like I'm getting a little bit better at letting the tarot cards kind of just sort of flow through, and not worrying about contradictions and just letting them kind of speak. You just have to kind of keep exercising that. Let the water just from this flow right through you without worrying too much about whether it's making sense or not, or agrees with your own perspective. So I think I'm getting a little bit better with that. Okay. Thank you, Sarah. Let me see now. I'll do a raid, okay? I'll raid. Let me see. I'm trying to remember to do a raid. Let's raid. There was someone I just saw. Hold on. Tara will raid. Oh yeah, that's the one. Treasure X Trove. We're going to raid, okay? Treasure X Trove. Looks like they have a pretty good audience actually going. So I'm going to raid you guys over there, okay? Oh yeah. Okay. Let's see what I'm going to start the raid, okay? So good night. I'll see you all on Wednesday.